It's Monday, August 21st, and you're listening to the Geek at Geek News Central. This is show number 973, sponsored in part by GoDaddy.com. Get a managed WordPress site for just $1 a month for 12 months and a free domain, or pick up a domain name for just $1.99. All my specials can be found at geeknewscentral.com/GoDaddy. Hey, folks, glad to be back here in Honolulu. Lots to share. And we're going to have a great show for you. You know, as it comes next, strap in. Here it comes.
All right, people, I need a go, no-go for the Geek News Central podcast. Digital archive recorders.
We're go fly.
Microphone.
We're go fly.
Video feed.
Go.
Web browser.
Go.
RSS data stream aggregator.
Go fly.
Interflux Toddism suppressor.
All right, I'm confused.
Host readiness check.
Welcome to the show. Welcome to the show.
The Geek News Central podcast is a proud member of the Tech Podcast Network. If it's tech, it's here. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are ready to go. Cue Todd in
5,
Button, who's got the button?
4,
There is no cause for alarm.
3,
Everybody hold on to something.
2,
Just press the button!
1.
Aloha and welcome to Geek News Central. Of course, my name is Todd Cochran. I'm glad to be with you, and I want to thank all of you for either watching or listening to the show. I definitely appreciate all of you for staying subscribed. And I want to give a big, huge thanks to the Gadget Professor, Mr. Don Bain, for stepping in for me on one show while I was gone. So I hope that you guys will give me a pass on the second one. Everyone has been raving about Don doing the show here. Maybe it's time for Todd to let Don take over. I don't know, but lots of great feedback. But it's great to be back here in the studio, and great to be back in Hawaii. I'll talk a little bit about what happened in Dallas and my trip here in a few moments. But if you're brand new to the show, I want to give you a warm welcome and a welcome to the Ahana, welcome to the family here. Of course, I'm here in Honolulu, Hawaii, so it's often very, very late in the evening when I record this show for the rest of you. But this show comes out every Tuesday and Friday morning. It's available on iTunes, available via the Android devices, whether it be whatever specific podcasting app that you like on Android. Make sure you grab the show and get subscribed. And we'll talk about the Android spot here in just a few minutes on what's going on. But we want you to get over to the main website. And to do that's just really a piece of cake here. And let me see if I can get everything set right so that those of you that are watching, yeah, there we go. Get over to geeknewscentral.com. And when you're on the website, you're going to really find a host of content from our writers and other content producers. Langley, the Gadget Professor, Mr. Don Bain, the Gadget Professor. We've got Todd with the Elder Divide, which he, I think, is now on episode 4 or so. I got to get back with talking with Todd because just been crazy busy and need to see where he's at in his process and touch base. But all the shows at geeknewscentral.com, you can find links to them to subscribe to the shows right there on the main page. Of course, each of the shows have their own independent pages as well. And soon, there are going to be some big changes coming here to Geek News Central. Of course, you can subscribe to the newsletter as well via the newsletter link on the website. We got to get Todd's newsletter added there too. He'll have his own landing page, of course, at some point as well. But definitely check out all of the shows here at Geek News Central. Of course, all our great writers too, putting up great content on the website on a nearly everyday basis. Follow me on Twitter real easily at Geek News, and see if I can press the right button here. Feeling a little rusty having been away for a week, but at Geek News is the Twitter address. You can email me, geeknews@gmail.com. Send your comments, positive or negative or in between. Send me links to cool news stories. You can do that, of course, on any of our communities via Facebook, Google+, in our standard community rooms. Definitely hang out and chat with the community and definitely provide me that feedback. It's really, really appreciated. So, of course, you can find the Tech Podcast Network at techpodcast.com, which we are a member of. And you can follow really us on the Roku, Google TV, and a variety of other set-top boxes, Chromecast and so forth, Android Fire TV and so forth. So definitely check us out and get subscribed to the show if you want to watch basically Kicking Back, or just come over to the website itself. Of course, this show is sponsored in part for 9+ years now by my good friends over at GoDaddy.com. And I tell you, we've got some great deals that they have put together for us through the end of the month of August, obviously. And we want you to save a lot of money. And in order to save a lot of money, it's a piece of cake. All you got to do is come over to geeknewscentral.com/GoDaddy, and you're going to find all of my promo codes, all the fantastic deals that we make available to all of you to save money at GoDaddy.com. Our 32% off code is still hot, being used heavily. We want you to use that code. If you got something coming up that you need to purchase a product or service, definitely use that code. That's going to save you a lot of cash. 32% off. It really doesn't get any bigger than that. Now, we have a 25% off code that also includes the new top-level domains. So the .gurus, the .directory, all the different new .tld's top-level domains are available. And you can save 25% off those when the domains are out of their pre-registration mode. Now, this is where it really gets fantastic, and this is where I really have to kind of give GoDaddy some creds. You can get a .com for $1.99 all by itself, okay, by using the promo code GNC199, or you can get a managed WordPress site for $1 a month for 12 months, so $12 for the hosting service. And along with that, you get a free domain. So it's just like, paying $10 for a hosting service. That's for a managed WordPress site, again, with a free domain. Or if you want just a standard economy hosting plan, those start at $1 a month too for first 12 months, and you get a free domain with those. Definitely see the features. Check out both of those services. We've got a variety of other codes on the website that you can use. Website Builder still seems to be big. That's another $1 a month one. We've got 50% off hosting plans that may be a little bit more expensive if you go with a little bigger plan. So definitely check all those out, all the codes at geeknewscentral.com/GoDaddy. Now, GoDaddy is, man, I tell you, the more I talk with folks, the more excited I get, because I just got an email from a service that I use. It's a mailing list service that I use for my business, called Mad Mimi, and they have been acquired by GoDaddy, so the Mad Mimi platform is going to be sucked into the GoDaddy ecosphere, and I'm going to tell you, this is huge. I've been a big fan of that service for a long time, been using it a long time, so I'm going to see where it's going to transition to. I'm really excited about that. We use that for, I think, close to 20, we send about 25,000 emails in each newsletter we send out for our company. So this is really incredible that they've made that purchase. So we'll see where that leads over time. But again, GoDaddy's been here for a full 9 years, on the march to 10 years of basically being a sponsor of this show and really taking care of all of you and providing you great deals. So definitely check those out over at GoDaddy.com. Okay, so let's talk just a little bit here. Flew out from Dallas last Thursday. Got into Dallas Friday morning. Flew into Houston, did a transfer, and I think I got into Dallas about 10:30 or so. And my GPS was couldn't figure out where it was for a while. I finally got on the highway, and within 20 minutes I was at the hotel. And we're at the Westin Galleria. And it was a nice place, nice rooms, no complaints whatsoever. Internet was pretty pricey, but they had the podcast movement, the event that I attended, where there was about 600 podcasters that came in from across the country. We had a table there, and then I spoke in 2 different sessions. One was Meet the Advertiser. We brought some folks up from Houston to speak. And then I did a networking panel with Rob Greenlee from Podcast One and Mike Cicero from Adam Carolla's show, and had 2 great panels. And then just meeting with podcasters all weekend. So started off Friday night through Sunday late afternoon, and had no voice. Really kind of left Sunday night. Really learned a lot about how folks are using our services, learned some things that they didn't know about us, So I came right home immediately and hit the team up and some lessons learned, and was pretty excited with everything that transpired. One thing I will say this is PowerPress, the plugin that we make for podcasting, we own the space. Without a doubt, we own the space. To a person, there wasn't a person there that didn't use our plugin, which was fantastic. And then what I've also seen at this particular event was a heavy entrepreneur level. And we're going to be talking a lot about that on Saturday during the New Media Show. On Saturday on the New Media Show with Rob and I are going to be having on board Rick Calvert from New Media Expo. And he is actually going to be talking to us about the announcement they made while I was gone at the New Media Expo is going to be held in at NAB in conjunction with NAB. Side by side, we're going to be in the showroom, or not the showroom, but the exhibitor floor is going to be butted right in amongst the NAB stuff. So I'm really excited about that event next April. And matter of fact, I immediately started kind of planning for it already. But they're going to be having sessions and stuff right there. It's going to be over 4 days. So we'll have Rick on Saturday to talk about that. And then we're going to talk about what we basically, Rob and I's impressions on podcast movement. So some really big announcements around here is there could be some changes coming to Podcast Awards. I've made a decision. Just got to figure out when to formally announce what's going to happen. So expect something on that. I know you guys, every year I talk about that. But some announcements on that. And then my daughter starts college on this coming Monday, or a week from today. So we're all prepping, and she's ready to go and getting excited, which is good. So that's kind of what's going on here. Family's like trucking right along. It's like, I was like, did you miss me? And they're like, no. So I really wasn't gone long enough. But some big news in the podcasting space, too, that we'll cover on Saturday is Adam Carolla is basically settled, apparently, with the patent troll, not taking it to trial after having expended $500,000 to really try to fight this guy off. They're under a gag order, not allowed to speak about this event or about what the settlement was until October 1st. So we are going to definitely do our best to make sure that we have somebody on the New Media Show on October 1st to talk about that settlement. But anyway, that's enough about that stuff. This is all podcasting stuff, and I don't want to bore you guys too bad on that. For those of you new to the show, we kind of do this at the beginning. We kind of chit-chat and get caught up, but we're going to get into the tech here in just a second. But I do want to say thank you to some of our GNC 100, our GNC Ohana 1000 members, folks that are coming in and contributing to the show through our website at geeknewscentral.com /insider. And I'm really excited to be able to give a big shout out to Todd, Big Kahuna, Mike, an Ohana, Deb, an Ohana, Gary, a Kahuna, Ken, an Ohana, Michael, who is a warrior, Richard, who's an Ohana, Denise, who is a warrior, Larry, who is a warrior, Bo, who is a warrior, and Dale, who's a Big Kahuna. Of course, everyone's part of the Ohana, so no matter really what you contribute, but we definitely wanted to mention those folks that are basically contributing somewhat to the show monetarily, whatever donation size it is, big or small. But again, the Warrior level is at $60 per year, support level at $5 a month. The Kahuna, basically the Kahuna level is at $125 per year. Big Kahuna is at $250 per year, supporting of the show. We don't have anyone in our Big Ali category yet at $500 per year, but I do believe we're going to have some people we're going to induct into the Warriors Council. I just need to do a little math to make sure. So excited to be able to do that. And basically, we're going to backdate. And if folks have been contributing show for 3-4 years, they're automatically going to be invited into the Warrior Console if they've contributed the prerequisite $1,000 to make that level. But again, you can find information on how you can support the show financially Really, that $5 a month seems to be a great sweet spot for most folks. So definitely check it out at geeknewscentral.com/insider. We do appreciate all of you that are supporting the show financially and helping us out. And someday, maybe we'll be able to, get to the point where we have enough folks making monthly contributions that we can definitely make some changes here. So if any of you have just started contributing, make sure you drop a line to Sam at insider@geeknewscentral.com. Okay, let's go ahead and move on here and let's get into tech. I got a huge stack, and let me make sure I got everything covered tonight. Daughter, Corolla, new media show, the Ohana here. Yep, back from Dallas. Yep, we're all good. And really, this has been a pretty, I guess, for an exciting time. I've had some interesting discussions going on in the past couple of weeks. So, but it's a good time. It really is in the podcasting space. Things are really exploding, taking off. We're seeing a big demand for our products and services. So I'm really pleased on where things are headed, and potentially some new directions here in the coming days and weeks. But we'll get to that at whatever point we're ready to make some announcements. Okay, so I want to start out tonight in the tech side, and I want to talk just a little bit about. I've been getting some email, and it's a lot of email from. Basically, I guess I call them scammers that are asking me on a regular basis, hey, we want a guest post. And I'm like, no, we don't do guest post at Geek News Central, because all it really is someone writing an article linking to some company that's paid them to do so. I call it paper post. And, they say, oh, no, it's all discreet, blah, blah, blah. No, it's not happening on my website. And it's becoming quite the issue because a lot of bloggers who can't afford or don't have extra writers. Maybe they're not doing as much with their own site on their own. So they oftentimes will say, oh, yeah, come on in, guest host. So when you go to a website, sometimes you just don't know who has written a blog post. Now, I will say this. Everything on Geek News Central, we reveal. If we've got some product, I got a stack of stuff back here to review. I've got 1, 2, it's like 5 things I got to get out. And that's the mission for the rest of the week and the weekend is get those reviews online. And I will always say that we've been provided a product to review. You'll know that I've went through it. And as part of our plan is we actually use the product. Matter of fact, I got to send that Samsung phone back. I've had it 2 or 3 weeks now, and I got to get it back and get the review up. So we'll always mention that, but oftentimes you go to a website and you will never know by visiting the website whether or not it's a sponsored post or a guest post or how that has got placed in the website. Some sites disclose, others don't. So what's pretty cool is that a Google engineer called by the name of Ian Webster is trying to solve the problem of these sponsored stories. So he's built something called Ad Detector that will make sure that you never mistake a sponsored story for a real one. If you're using Chrome, you can add this extension, again called Ad Detector, which searches out native ads and drops a bright red bar over the top of the page announcing that what you're viewing is a paid promotion. Now, they're saying that the extension doesn't work flawlessly, but it did detect most of the sponsored pages that this gentleman had tested on the New York Times, Wall Street Journal, BuzzFeed, several Gawker media sites, and 2 Vox media sites, including The Verge, to be able to detect when something was sponsored. So, I think this is important because oftentimes we'll come to a website and we will not know if something's been paid to be placed on the website. And I think this is good because it's intermixed with all the regular content. You don't know when someone's been paid to post. And they're just mixing it in. And guess what? You're reading an ad and you really don't even know that you are. So I think this is a cool plug-in for those of you that use Chrome. Again, the extension is called Ad Detector. And as you guys are running around the web, the interwebs, I want to hear from you. I want you guys to say, hey, Todd, I found on this website a link or an article that I thought was a real one that was actually a paid to post or a paid advertisement. And I just want to see the surprise on you guys' face as you go around. But anyway, very, very cool. So cool tip of the day, and be able to find stuff that keeps transparency going. Definitely, again, want you guys to check it out. And let me know, please, how it worked out. Now, one thing that I've learned is not everyone knows everything about tech. As a matter of fact, there's a lot of business owners that are not very, I guess for better words, very technical. They don't know the value of the tech. They don't know what was involved in creating it. They don't have an appreciation for the lessons learned. Oftentimes, company owners will really kind of expect stuff to happen as a miracle and have unrealistic budgets and so forth. So when it comes to technology expertise, that's something that when I'm working with Angelo on my team, I take time to make him explain stuff to me so that I understand the tech, how we're implementing it. I may not know the code, but I know the back end. I know the touchy-feely stuff. I know how, really, you got to know it, right? But at the White House, cybersecurity czar is bragging about his lack of technical expertise. So this guy is a tech czar, and he is the White House's cybersecurity coordinator. He's the man that leads the interagency development of national cybersecurity strategy and policy. He does this for the president. And in a recent interview with GovInfoSecurity, it's a Gov mag, he argued that his lack of technical expertise gave him an advantage in doing the specific job he's assigned to do. He says you don't have to be a coder in order to really do well in this position. Daniel said when asked if his job required a knowledge of the technology behind information security, he said, in fact, actually, I think being too down the weeds at the technical level could actually be a bit of a distraction. You can get taken up and enamored with the very detailed aspects of some of the technical solutions, he explained, arguing that the real issue is looking at broad strategic pictures. If you're leading someone and you are the expert, you should have a very good handle on the tech. And you should also be able to rise above that and come up and see how this fits into the bigger scope of an organization, the country. Here we've got a guy that is running he is a cyber security coordinator. And he probably knows how to do a little email, write some Word documents, maybe find his way around a spreadsheet, put together some death by PowerPoint stuff, and maybe he's a thinker, but please. It's hard to imagine senior policymakers with responsibility for other technical subject and any other business making this kind of claim. Can you imagine the White House economic advisor saying, I don't know anything about economics? Can you, maybe they don't. Maybe that's part of the problem. Can you imagine someone in charge of revenue, IRS? They don't know anything about tax collection or tax laws. Can you imagine someone that is a surgeon, basically saying I stayed at a Holiday Inn Express, that type of thing? It blows me away that we pay these people incredible amounts of money in salaries. They're SES, Senior Executive Services or something like that. You guys go look at the pay table for an SES. And it's going to blow your mind how much money these people get paid. For the government, it's incredible amount of money. The government doesn't pay a lot, but at SES, they do pretty well. So here we got the Surgeon General has an MD, as does the head of the Centers for Disease and Control and Prevention. The head of the National Institutes of Health has a PhD in chemistry and did groundbreaking research on human genome. All three members of the Council of Economic Advisors have PhDs in economics, as does the head of the Federal Reserve. The Attorney General has a law degree. So what does this dude have? He's got 17 years at OMB. And you know what OMB does? They write the checks for and set policy for employees of the government. I don't get it. Cybersecurity is such a serious issue, and we have someone that really doesn't have a clue running it. Can you imagine being like a deputy to this guy? And that's what these guys are directors or coordinators, and they've got a bevy of deputies underneath them. Can you imagine being a deputy underneath this guy or 2 or 3 layers low and knowing that your boss is an idiot when it comes to the tech? Can you imagine having to, probably some think your bosses are idiots anyway, but let's just think about this guy. He's a cybersecurity dude. It just blows me away, people. It really does. I'm just, wow. I'm shocked. I just am. All right. Switch gears completely. Did you know there's cell phone wars going on? Right now, T-Mobile, if you bring a friend to T-Mobile, you both will get unlimited data for a year. That's a pretty good deal. So T-Mobile's approach when it comes to luring their customers continuing to have loads of users. This time, the so-called Un-carrier is offering a year of unlimited data on its LTE network for networks that convince friends to make the switch from Sprint, AT&T, or Verizon. And yes, the acquaintance actually has to sign the papers, gets the same 12-month deal. And this offer is taking aim at Sprint's recent offers. Now check this out. So Sprint is attacking T-Mobile with a $60 unlimited data plan. So on last Thursday, Sprint unveiled a $60 unlimited plan for individual customers. The new service offers unlimited voice, text, message, and data for $60 a month. Sprint is marketing a new plan as the cheapest around, beating T-Mobile. And they say they're the only national competitor offering unlimited data they're beating them by $20 a month. AT&T and Verizon banned unlimited, of course, we know a long time ago. So the new unlimited pricing plans, along with the new family share pack introduced on Monday, are meant to kickstart Sprint's competitiveness in the market. I'll be honest, I've been using this Samsung Galaxy phone. The phone's great. The network sucks. I never been on. It's just 3G, always spinning 3G. So from a Sprint standpoint, their network is not doing that well. So anyway, that's where we're at here with what's going on, with stuff going on in the mobile space. And maybe it's just Hawaii. I don't know. Maybe Hawaii's network is a little bit. I've got a Sprint data card, and that thing's on 4G, LTE all day long when I'm using it. So I don't know why the phone would never switch into 4G mode. Let's talk just a little bit about Verizon. There's a thread going on that apparently large data usage transfers are happening with the folks with Windows Phone and Verizon while on Wi-Fi. So apparently Verizon is pulling people's phones and doing some sort of transfers. People are not happy about it because lots of usage is going on whenever you're connected to a Wi-Fi network. So be careful out there. Watch your data plans closely to make sure they're not hammering you. If you do, get on the phone with them. I lost like 6 gigs on my Verizon wireless card recently. I was like, where did it go? So maybe I'm on the same dealio. Maybe that was part of that, that huge data that's being moved. So I don't know. I didn't know I could move 6 gigs on the thing in like 24 hours, to be honest with you. Didn't know it was that fast. All right, Windows 9 is they're going to do a launch preview by the end of September. So September 30th or early October, they're going to introduce Windows 9, which is the successor of the piece of crap Windows 8. And Microsoft is planning to hold a special press event to show this off. And it's not clear yet whether Windows 9 will actually be known as Windows 9. But the operating system is currently codenamed Windows Threshold. They should be calling it Windows Fix the piece of crap Windows 7. That's what Windows 8. That's what they should be calling it. So apparently this is something that's being planned on the pike or rumored. So I'll let you know. All right, it got a email today. There's some podcasters using SoundCloud for their hosting. And we've been warning them all along, hey, at some point, SoundCloud is going to run out of their $100 million, and they're going to need to start charging and putting ads in your content in order to pay the bills. So often billed as the YouTube of music, SoundCloud has obviously become the number one choice for up-and-coming artists looking to share their tracks with the world, but they've run into all types of issues with copyright and everything else. So they made some deals, and now podcasters included can start getting some advertising in their podcasts. Well, I know what happens when companies like this start getting nervous. You'll end up with advertising that, how should we say it? On Ustream, when Ustream started interrupting live video feeds and dropping in ads, some people that are watching this show got... let's see, how should we call it? Men enhancement medicines were being advertised, and it was quite inappropriate for this type of content. And I obviously wasn't very happy with it, and that's when I made the move to S3 to do my live streaming over there. Up to this point, now that I'm on YouTube, I've been very, very happy with YouTube Live. Really, it's been rock steady from an implementation standpoint. And the quality's been excellent. So I'm pretty happy where I'm at on YouTube for live, but I feel sorry for all these folks that are on SoundCloud, because as a listener on SoundCloud, you're going to be able to pay to not hear the ads, but you're also you're going to start being subjected to them. It should not come as a surprise. They got to figure out a way to pay for it and make sure they don't run out of money. All right, a little scary what's going on with the FCC right now. And I don't know where this is fully coming from, but federal FCC Commissioner Tom Wheeler is going to have a fight on his hands if he tries to preempt state laws that limit the growth of municipal broadband networks. Matthew Berry, the chief of staff to Republican Commissioner Ajit Pai, agreed today that the FCC has no authority to invalidate state laws governing local broadband networks. In a speech in front of the National Conference of State Legislatures, Berry endorsed states' rights when it comes to either banning municipal broadband networks or preventing their growth. He also argued that the current commission, with its Democrat majority, should not be doing something that future Republican-led commissions might disagree with. So basically, Republican groups are saying do not go meddling in local broadband, municipal broadband. We need to move on here. We need to make sure that there's true competition in the marketplace. 20 states already place some limits on the ability of cities and towns to offer internet service to residents through laws passed as favors to cable companies and other ISPs. Commissioner Wheeler argues that because Section 706 gives the FCC authority to promote competition in local telecommunication markets by removing barriers to investment, the Commission can preempt laws that prevent cities and towns from creating their own broadband networks that compete against private companies. So I think these private broadband initiatives are fantastic because usually it brings broadband to communities that don't ever have it. So if you feel that there needs to be a little bit of political action on this, Feel free to call your local representative or congressman and give them a piece of your mind, one way or the other. Okay, over on Twitter, a real geeky article talks about something that they have that's called Bot Maker. You know, spam on Twitter is different than traditional spam, primarily because it's made up of two different aspects. Twitter exposes, it's basically what they've done. So let me back up. The Twitter API, spammers know basically how their anti-spam system works, and so they've worked really hard to work around that. So they've introduced a new application called Bot Maker that looks at the ad before it's posted, after it's posted, and then trends. And so their goal, which has proved to be very, very difficult, and where they want to see a 40% reduction in spam, this particular Bot Maker architecture that they use to fight spam with now prevents spam from being created. By making it as hard as possible to create spam, they've reduced the amount of spam the user sees. It also reduces the amount of time spam is visible on Twitter. For the spam content that does get through it tries to clean up as soon as possible, and it reduces the reaction time to new spam attacks. They say spam is evolving constantly. Spammers respond to the system defenses, and the cycle never stops. In order to be effective, they have to be able to collect data, evaluate, and deploy rules and models quickly, which this particular Bot Maker does. So it's really pretty cool. So they've got really code words, and I love these code words. They got this thing called Scarecrow, detect spam in real time. Then they've got near real time called Sniper. That's for the spam that gets through. And then they run periodic models on the content and clean up that way too. So pretty cool geeky article. I'll have it linked up in the show notes for those of you that are developers and look at this kind of stuff. You'll definitely want to check it out. For those of you non-geeks out there, it's probably like, okay, I hope it works. It's crazy hot here in Honolulu right now. High humidity, trades are down. This room is about 100 degrees right now, and I just flipped the fan up to setting number 4 on the overhead. So I apologize if you hear a little fan background noise, but I'm cooking right now, big time. So I'm got it cranked up here. Hey, got an email. Actually, got someone in the chat room. Hey, you're in Minnesota. What are you doing awake, dude? So thanks for coming on, JB, for being on the show tonight. Very, very cool. So, wow. Minnesota, it's like almost 3. Don't you got to go to work? But thanks for being on. We all saw, and if you haven't been living in a shell over the last couple of days, this horrific details of this journalist Jane Foley who was beheaded in last week, and the video was all over the place. And it really, where it started was Live Leak. So what Live Leak has basically come out and said that they're going to ban future ISIS beheading videos. And after having watched and unfortunately caught a video of ISIS doing something else recently that was pretty horrific as well, that's the last thing I want to do is watch something that was not CGI, that was the real deal. I understand it's people's morbid curiosity, but if it doesn't just put a chill down your back, I just couldn't. There was no way I could watch it. I could barely look at the picture that was on most of the news sites of this guy on his knees. And I was talking with a friend of mine, and I know this is getting off topic a little bit here from a tech side, but I was talking with a friend of mine, and I'm like, they'd had to shot me because I'm down on my knees, and I know what's coming. They would have had to have me tied up. There's no way that I would have allowed. You don't know what this guy's went through either, but just in my mind, I'm thinking if I know that the end is near like that, and someone's going to try to take me out in such this way, it's they're not. I'm going to leave a mark one way or the other But it was just horrifying. And it just goes to show you out there are some people in this world that are, man, they have simply, absolutely, unequivocally lost it. I mean, just lost it. And it's amazing. It really, really is. Okay. Sorry. I'm going to switch gears here and get off this. There's an article over on Fast Company that says it would cost each user, and this is in the UK, excuse me, for every person that lives in the United Kingdom, if they wanted to contribute $232 of their hard-earned pound or euro, that they would have to, if they turn that over, that they could basically pay all the media companies everything they would ever need to remove all advertising off the web in the UK for a year. So it would cost each user $232 a year for an ad-free internet. Of course, they polled 1,400 United Kingdom customers asking if they'd be willing to pay the figure for a year of no ad browsing, and 98% said no. Now, again, this is a UK-only number, and that's about $230. I guess that's worth about 1 month of a Comcast bill, isn't it? Right? Would you guys pay $200 for ad-free stuff on the internet a year? I would. It'll never happen, but I would. Sign me up. All right, there's a good article over on Medium, and it reminds me of something. It's about not, when you get new software, sometimes you get cool new features, but then there's something that's missing that you used to do with the software. It happens all the time, right? A feature gets dropped. And one of my goals when I was still in military and dealing with software updates is we would go in and have to tell the vendor, we'd have to go back and regress testing. Now, we're getting, like, let's say we're getting new code. We would make sure that, you clicked a button, the button still did what it used to do. And if there was a new function, that the other function that was the old function that we wanted to keep was there. And we want, basically trying to make sure that stuff carried through. Now, we would vote collectively if we would retire a feature or something. But, oftentimes when a new product comes out, we lose a feature. And this article kind of goes into that. And it talks about the byproduct of Kindle versus paperbacks. And, some of the positive things that have happened from the introduction of the Kindle. On the airplane, I was reading on my Samsung Galaxy tablet. I was reading on my Kindle. And largely because I left my iPad at home. I forgot it. So, I was using that and, it was great. And before it, I had a couple books in my bag. Not anymore. Another thing to think about is, traffic lights. One of the byproducts of technology increases is now, inside traffic lights, you'd see a truck up there every once in a while changing out the bulb that was back there. And now most traffic lights have LEDs in them. But what happens when you live in a state that snows? Well, if snow gets into the traffic can, you can't see the light no more because the LED doesn't put off enough heat to burn or melt the snow. So that's one of these byproducts. And, of course, we got hybrids versus gas and everything else. So sometimes we take 2 steps forward, but we also take a step back and what technology's changed. So as you're looking at stuff and doing things in your life, and if you're working with software, I always recommend to try not to go backwards. Try to always go forwards and try to bring forward those features that are always, like the core of your product. Or stuff you do, because nothing more makes a user mad than they go to find out, how can I do this now and it's not there? It doesn't work, and then they get angry and they yell at you, and it ends up you having to go back and respin something, and bring that feature back forward again. So it's just one of those things that I've had a lot of experience with that I talk about from time to time. And just kind of this article on Medium.com reminded me of it. All right, now's your chance. Last chance. FCC public comments for Comcast Time Warner Cable merger ends on Monday, the August 25th. Actually, what? Now 6 month process rolling. Monday, August 25th. Is that right? Oh man, I am really out of it. Yes, Monday, August 25th is the last day. So if you want to comment on the merger, now is the time. Otherwise, it's just going to get shoved down our throats, folks. Have you been using Google a lot for knowledge-based stuff? Oftentimes now I put I get clients that call us and they say, oh, we want to go on your pro hosting and I'm moving this many gigabytes or many terabytes, or, they give me some, and I just basically, after I load Google up and I go, okay, 10,482 gigabytes equals TB, and it'll give me the number in terabytes, or vice versa, so I can come up with pricing for them. And so Google's Knowledge Vault is seeking to answer really every possible question that we can ask Google. And so they're really working at that in a big, big way. You want to know who the 37th president of the United States was, or what the square root of 3422345 is? It's going to tell you. But sometimes there's no answer. But they're really working to increase the amount of stuff that Google just knows, that you can ask it. And I'm excited about that part of the future of computing and using Google. Now, my son, he has been having some, of course, he's a senior this year. So I got one entering college. I've got one that's in school now on a senior year. And he's been really heavily thinking about becoming a doctor, specifically a surgeon. And we've been talking about some implications of being a doctor and Obamacare and some of the things that may not be super positive from a medical standpoint, the long hours, the stress, depending on where you're working, what you're going to be exposed to, and just trying to make him think through things that he may have overlooked, and trying to make sure he's got his head square on where he's going to go, and someday maybe holding a scalpel and having to operate on someone. And I started talking to him too about the tech side. He's got the math chops. The kid's really, from a math standpoint, he's beyond me at this point. And that's not saying much, to be honest with you. But he's got the math chops. I'm like, the programming thing, go to school for 4 years, 2 or 3 years of, working at, a startup or getting experience. I said, by year 5, you're cranking in some cash. The cash register is going to be ringing, and you'll be able to work wherever you want. You don't necessarily have to work in an office. Certainly trying to share him some of that and trying to give him some broader, ideas, and talking about, well, why don't you go get a double E and get your minor in software development? And, that way because the best folks at building gear and putting stuff together is those double E's that also understand the software components and can write code. Maybe not necessarily PHP, but down into the subsystems of stuff that we use every day. Those guys make incredible amounts of money, and they're incredibly smart, and they do really cool stuff. So I've been talking to him about this, and any of you that are out there in this space will understand what I'm talking about, especially if you're double E with that software background. Being able to have that rationale and be able to think through problems is critical. And he does pretty good at that. But this tech space is still so hot. If you become a Linux expert, and you don't even have to pre-training folks. If you're like looking at a second career and you're trying to figure out what you're going to do, you're laid off, or maybe you're just bored, if you can just learn Linux and maybe learn Linux and how it applies in the cloud, specifically AWS or on Microsoft or Rackspace, and how those systems work with PHP and not with, with running Linux servers and all the stuff that goes around with it, you can probably do pretty well about yourself from a job standpoint. And according to Linux Jobs Report, released earlier this year, employees are aggressively looking for Linux talent, but too often coming up short. 9 in 10 hiring managers said it is somewhat or very difficult to find experienced Linux pros. 77% of hiring managers have hiring Linux talent on their list of priorities. 93% of hiring managers plan to hire a Linux professional in the next 6 months. 46% of hiring managers scaling up their plans for recruiting Linux talent over the next 6 months. a 3-point jump since 2013. So this is big. Linux application developers even more. So get trained. Get trained on Linux and get yourself a potentially new career. Get into that command line, and that's where it's at. That's where the money's at right now. All right, space station cosmonauts have found life in the vacuum of space. Yes, I said that correctly. I'm looking at time here. How are we doing? Oh, that sucks. I'm a little bit behind today. The Russian press agency, ITAR TASS, is reporting something that's pretty surprising. Now, the vacuum of space kills you. Kills things. It's cold. It's hot. It's not good. Cosmonauts have found microorganisms on the exterior of the International Space Station. Russian scientists are shocked by this discovery and can't really explain how it's possible. According to the chief of the Russian ISS orbital mission, Vladimir Slovej, I just destroyed that. These findings are absolutely unique. He says, we have found traces, now hold on to your hat, of sea plankton in microscopic particles on the illuminator surface. At this point, the Russian space agency really can't explain how sea plankton ended up on the International Space Station. They have discarded spaceships taking the microorganisms there. Their only explanation is that the atmosphere currently may be lifting those particles from the ocean all the way to the station at 205 miles up. Now we know, if you remember your biology and your science stuff, and if this is just, this is high school stuff, that plankton in the early stages of development can be found on the surface of the oceans. So, pretty crazy stuff, yeah. And they are completely blown away here. It's not clear if the organism were growing or multiplying, but if confirmed, the discovery may give more credibility to the theory that organic life may have spread across space, traveling on comets and asteroids, or who knows, whatever else. Very, very interesting. Now, you guys know I grew up in the country. I've talked about that many times. Grew up, I wasn't really on a farm, but my grandfather had a cash crop farm. And one thing that I always did was, I did some combine running from time to time. And those of you who don't know what a combine is, just Google that. But combines are pretty modern farming miracles. You run down the field and separate grain from chaff, and really in a matter of seconds. But oftentimes that chaff is full of seeds from the weeds. And oftentimes those seeds get blown right back onto the field. So a dude has come up with a pretty cool idea. He basically has a separate device that follows behind the combine and pulls the chaff in, and then runs the remaining stuff that's being ejected through a shredder. And it basically destroys any seeds that may have, they've come through by a 95 to 99 percentile range. And that's huge, because oftentimes the seeds that pick up this part of weeds, when it's kicked out, go right back down on the dirt. Some of it gets embedded, and the next spring you end up with weeds. So this is a great way to be able to limit the amount of herbicides used the following year. And this is really exciting stuff here. So I'm still kind of a farm boy at heart, but it makes you go, just a little bit. Yes, it does. Okay, in Australia, the Australian Taxation Office has issued its official assessment of Bitcoin. The ATO's note says Bitcoin is neither money nor foreign currency, and that transacting with Bitcoins is akin to a barter arrangement. So Australia tax formal barter scheme, so Bitcoin gets the same treatment. That means that the nation's goods and services tax, GST, the equivalent of U.S. sales tax, and the UK's VAT applies to purchases made using the cryptocurrency. So they just basically said it's cash is basically what they've done. Now, those of you that are really super geeks out there, think about this for a second. People are building increasingly huge hard drives inside of Minecraft. And you're like, huh? How are they doing that? Well, this is cool. So basically, this hard drive that they're building inside of Minecraft is said to be capable of storing 1 kilobyte of data. While that may not sound like a lot, the fact that it even exists inside a digital environment is pretty cool. The 1 kilobit drive gained attention this week on Reddit, and according to Wired, it's built by Cody Littley, a PhD student at the University of Texas at Austin. And what he's doing is they have some things called redstone circuits, which basically creates a switch for doors and stuff inside of Minecraft. And I don't understand this completely, but by stacking those and arranging those, he's basically creating a very rudimentary computer that can store stuff in a states. It's all ones and zeros, folks. On, off, right? So very, very, very cool. I mean, don't know how useful it's going to be in the game, but man, leave it to some folks to really come up with some crazy stuff. This is it. How many of you have been walking, working on a train, and never had a place to sit down? Well, there's something called the chairless chair exoskeleton. Lets you sit down anywhere, anytime. It runs on a 6-volt battery and basically allows you to squat. And it just basically kind of forms a chair for you. And it's in its early design phases, and it's really cool. If it wasn't so heavy to wear, I think that, well, I guess it weighs around 4.4 pounds. Sometimes at CES, I really want to sit down and there's not a chair. It might be kind of cool to have one of these available. You flip the switch and you can just kind of like, sit back in your own haunches. It holds you up. It's pretty cool. It really is. I'll have a link up in the show notes for you guys to check it out. No idea what the price is. All right, we know that the many, many years ago, there was an international treaty to basically reduce CFCs in the atmosphere. And, CFCs were formerly found in products like aerosol, sprays, refrigerants, primarily Freon, and solvents. And there's been a ban since 1987 on CFCs, which is known as carbon tetrachloride. And that specific CFC is being found now in the atmosphere at a much higher levels than what they expected. They're saying, we're not supposed to be seeing this at all, said NASA's scientist Qing Zhonglong, lead author of the study. It's now apparent that there are unidentified industrial leakages, large emissions from contaminated sites, or unknown CCI4 sources, which is the CFC in question. And it's not dropping as fast either, so it's still up there, folks. And apparently we're replenishing it or so forth. There's an article around Science Reorder at sciencereorder.com. Is it Recorder? Yeah, excuse me, sciencerecorder.com. And apparently since 1999, something strange has been happening. Excuse me. Those of you watching the show. The carbon dioxide levels, since 1999, very peculiar phenomenon has been occurring. Despite carbon dioxide levels rising, the Earth's temperature is not. The average increase per decade from 1998 to 2012 was 0.05 centigrade, less than half of what this figure was from 1951 to 2012, which had an average of 0.12 degrees centigrade increase per decade. Researchers now think that the cause could be partly down to a 30-year Atlantic cycle, which cools and heats the world in an alternative pattern. It's thought that the water from the tropics, which is both warmer and saltier, sinks faster than into the deep ocean, taking heat with it. The salinity of the ocean eventually increases to the point that ice in the Arctic starts to melt. That's been the theory. Well, they're kind of scratching their heads because it's not all happening the way they expected it to happen. So just goes to show you that the science is not 100% in. JB in the chat room said, hey, Todd, just got done with a podcast interview. Interview went an hour. Guest was in Oregon. Rest of the phone call was 90 minutes. Blueberry user here too, and it's 1:45 in Minnesota. My apologies, but thanks for staying up late with me. That was definitely a late interview for you too. All right, California DMV says Google self-driving car must have a steering wheel. So got to have a steering wheel, brake pedal, gas pedal. I don't think any of us are surprised at that. Another thing I don't think any of us are surprised at is that another congressional staffer was banned again from Wikipedia after transphobic edits. So this time the IP ban has been put down for 30 days. The congressional folks need to learn to go outside the White House to make those changes. Another Congresswoman Anna Eshoo, has released Reddit users to rebrand net neutrality. Today in a video and accompanying post, Congresswoman Anna Eshoo asked Reddit users to help come up with this branding. The term net neutrality, while useful, is being misused by some, according to the Congresswoman. A new phrase or word, perhaps, could clear the air and help the average person grasp just what it is we in tech are talking about. The average person isn't going to have half a care about the current notice of proposed rulemaking, decide the legal foundation for new neutrality rules, or whether paid prioritization is such a bad idea after all. Internet's fast lane, see, that's a slogan. They use that a lot in the news. So the contest rules are simple. According to the Congressman's post, the most popular entry on Reddit post will be declared the winner on September 8th. Reddit users asked to refrain from using vulgar or otherwise inappropriate language. Okay, that probably won't happen. What's winning so far? Well, sorting the Reddit thread by top doesn't yield much that is any good. The net amendment, freedom to connect. It's a variety of these. But anyway, we'll see what the Reddit community comes up here, and we'll report back on what was picked on September 8th. Getty's sent me a couple of threat letters before because of images, and oftentimes it was just a thumbnail or something. It wasn't anything that wasn't covered under fair use. They tried to extort money from me, and I promptly showed them a finger. You guys can imagine which one. But apparently Getty threatened the wrong IP firm over same type of an issue that they threatened me over. And they filed a lawsuit against them. So the lawyers don't mince words. Getty's unfair and deceptive practice caused actual damage to the SRIP law by requiring SRIP law to expend time and money to bring an action to obtain a declaratory judgment that SRIP law did not infringe Getty's copyright, blah, 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 blah. And you can almost bet Getty's going to say, we don't need that $380. We forgive you. Sorry, we'll give you some money for your time, I'm sure. All right, hey, parents sending kids off to college, heads up. Comcast is dangling a carrot I shouldn't say, they're dangling a little carrot here, a little reward. Comcast hopes Wi-Fi streaming will win over college students. As college students resume at the start of another school year, Comcast hopes to teach some of those students a lesson of its own. Having access to cable TV is a hard habit to break, and a move designed to build loyalty among people in their late teens and early 20s. Comcast is launching Xfinity on Campus, the IP-delivered service lets college students living on campus watch live and on-demand TV on their laptops, tablets, and smartphones. Designed to be carried over the college's existing IP network, Xfinity on Campus is being bundled with room and board for students at Bridgewater College, Drexel University, Emerson College, LaSalle College, and University of Delaware. Other colleges such as MIT and the University of New Hampshire will test their program this fall. Just let you know, they want your kids to get hooked on the blue tube more than they are, and they want them to become paying customers later. A pretty cool study was done with GPS devices in California. They are actually the Earth's mantle or crust. I don't think I said that right. Yeah, the Earth's crust has risen to average of 4 millimeters in the western United States since last year, and as much as 15 millimeters in the California mountain ranges because of the drought. No water to push it down. Interesting. It's just amazing to us that this covers the entire western United States, this researcher did. The lost water since last year is equivalent to the annual loss from Greenland's ice sheet, according to the study published in the Journal of Science. So cool. Pretty interesting to find that out. Also, a actress, Jamie King, Jamie King explained to Conan O'Brien that when she went into labor, Uber was her obvious choice of transport when her husband was away on a movie set. So she called Uber instead of calling the ambulance, and I guess she got a cool ride, and she gave the Uber driver a 5-star for getting her to the hospital on time. Kind of scary if you don't have anybody there with you and you need to be taken to have the baby that you would call Uber. Uber drivers carry some towels in the car is my advice. All right, skip that. NASA Space Launch System searches for a mission. These guys are worried. Managers of NASA Space Launch Systems are searching for a mission that can propose and convince Congress to fund. Once SLS is into the 2020s, the launch rate should see the rocket launching at least once per year, ramping up to a projected 3 times for your eventual Mars mission. However, the later won't be until the 2030s, so they're looking for a job in between. Our U.S. government is going to be working with agencies to release cyber threat information faster to the healthcare industry after a massive breach at hospital operator community health system happened here recently. If you're in the community health system, you're going to definitely want to check with them because they definitely had a huge data breach. The govies are going to say, hey, we're going to give you some data earlier. Also, have you ever been playing a video game and you're like, crap, the game was timed out or it was too slow or I hit the button and I wasn't supposed to die? Well, apparently there was some tests done between our brains or between our ears. There's a lot of stuff going on that can cause us to get whacked in a video game. It's largely because of an 80 millisecond delay between the time you see something on screen and our brain processes that information to our brain uses sensory gating to filter out things that you brain deems unimportant. So our brains are hardwired in such a way that we sometimes struggle during periods of intense focus, like when gaming. So it just may be because the brain has got other things to do and it cuts the CPUs to you. If you buy a cell phone at a swap meet and it's too good to be true, you can almost be guaranteed it was stolen. So some dude bought a cell phone, or some guy's aunt bought a cell phone at a swap meet, give it to his nephew, I guess, and he shot a selfie of him and his girlfriend, and it turns out that it was a stolen phone. So not smart, made the news. All right, Galileo is going to be launching with a planned launch of 2 satellites aboard a Soyuz rocket from French Guiana. Later this month, Europe is pushing ahead with its own satellite navigation system known as Galileo. And the thing that's kind of crazy about this system is their data accuracy is going to be inches instead of feet. It's got to worry the government. I wonder if they got a kill switch on that or an encryption switch to shut it down in case in case there's a war. Because those things can be really, if they can deliver down to an inch, it's pretty nuts. Also, the folks at Tor are saying that they're getting bug reports by someone that obviously knows the project really, really well. He thinks that NSA and GCHQ agents are leaking Tor bugs to their developers. He says he can't be for sure, but he says these are pretty deep down the weed bugs that just the average Joe is not going to find. So I thought that was kind of an interesting moment. Google search app gets friendly to bilingual Android users. Hey, any of you Android users have a Japanese wife? My wife hates the Japanese keyboard on the Android. Any suggestions to Android users out there that may have a Japanese wife? Let me know. But Google search app gets friendly to bilingual Android users. So if you want to Google the name of a restaurant in English and ask for the weather in Japanese on Android, it no longer requires switching back and forth between language settings. So for voice searches, users can now select up to 5 languages in the search app from the more than 50 supported. The app already supported that many languages, but users had to change the interface to really get the language switchover. Also, if you have a phone service call with Sprint and you need to, you want to record the conversation, apparently Sprint will not talk to you if you record their conversation with them over the phone, just as a heads up. All right, your favorite Game of Thrones characters could die soon. J.R. Martin reveals that you really shouldn't take the safety of any of your favorite characters for granted. Wow. So we'll see. But he says that all bets are off soon. Ho, 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 ho. We need to see his last 2 books to know for sure, right? Okay. All right, that's going to wrap it for regular content today. I've got some emails that did come in, and most of you guys give me feedback for the Gadget Professor. That was great. I want to thank all of you guys for emailing me here. Don't forget, you can email me anytime, geeknews@gmail.com. Ian, yeah, big, Don, did me a favor and recorded the show kind of at the last moment. So sorry there wasn't show notes per se, but the content's really good. So definitely go through it a couple times. Rocco, thanks for the comment on Don. He said, "Hey Todd, just watch the show with Don. He did a great job. Like when he fills in for you guys, should do a joint podcast or different styles would be good entertainment. Keep up the good work. Been watching for a long time." Rocco, thanks for that. And Rocco, Don and I do want to do something, but the timing, I can't go into the details. Really, Don can't afford the extra time cycles at this point to be able to do a show with me. But we do have, that has been long in planning, and I hope to be able to launch something with Don soon. Got an email here from Roger. Say, "Hey, yo, Todd, man. Great show with Don Bain. It is a good job as a fill-in, fast-paced, and easy to watch. No show notes." So another person. So we'll just have to tell Don show notes later. Todd, been watching the show for a long time. Really liked the show with Bain this week. Good stuff and fun to watch. What happened to the show notes? Herman said, "Hey, Todd, thanks for Don Bain. Great shows as always. Enjoyed watching. Sneaky little app he had this week." Herman, thanks for the email. Appreciate it. Got an email from 10. He said, or from Tenny. He said, "Hey, love the show. Bain did good content, good to learn, fun to watch. Have a good trip wherever you are." Remember, folks, you can watch the Gadget Professor right here in Geek News Central every week. So the Gadget, subscribe to a show, okay? Okay, got an email that came in after the last show. He said, "Hey, Todd, excellent podcast. Recently, you said you can't understand why anyone would want to watch someone else playing computer games, something called Twitch, I believe. I can't understand why anyone would want to watch." Oh, I think we read this already about watching football in the United States or the UK variety. He says it's stupid kicking balls around like that. Also, cricket 5 days is knocking a ball around that often ends in a draw, but each other's own, I say. I don't watch games or sporting or computer, but watching computer games doesn't seem any more pointless to me. Edmund Snowden is very brave, exposing the extent of which U.S. government is flouting the Constitution they promised to upload. Even if you disagree with him, it's a bit of a much to call him a traitor. I signed an oath to support and defend the Constitution of the United States. I upheld that oath for 24 years. I still support and defend the Constitution as a U.S. citizen. I also, during that time, signed an agreement to keep my mouth shut about stuff that I was exposed to, and understood that if I ever did open my mouth, that I would be prosecuted and thrown in jail and put in a very dark cell for a long, long time. Anyone that releases this type of information to the public, irregardless of the public regard or not, in my opinion, is a traitor. You may have positive opinions of Mr. Snowden, but in my opinion, he did incredible amount of harm. Now, I'll let you guys, have your own opinions on what that was released and whether you thought it was good. But irregardless, he broke his oath of an agreement that he had, and he's paying the price. He's living in Russia as an exile. And if he ever gets to the point where they can swoop him up, they will stick him in a very dark black hole, and he will never come out of it. And I know some people have a problem with me talking about Edward Snowden this way, but I'm just going to tell you, individuals like him, there's been spies that have sold stuff to the Russians that have done incredible harm, gotten people killed, cost us billions in dollars in lost technology, and really, I don't think this guy's that much different. When we have people running around the world like these ISIS folks who would rather chop our heads off than look at us, and if they learned from Edward Snowden on how to stay underground longer, it makes the job that our active duty folks, our military guys, they're out there trying to shut these guys down, makes their job that much harder. And in the end, causes the taxpayers' dollars lots of money because new tactics and new techniques have to be developed that, quite frankly, wouldn't have had to have been if this guy hadn't, blown his load and talked about all this stuff and shared. So the economics is, people say, he's a hero. He released all this information. I can understand why many people think that way. But just from a principle standpoint, he agreed to not share or disclose or, reveal stuff that he wasn't supposed to. And he did. So he will pay the price one of these days. And it'll probably be pew, pew, 2 bullets or 3 bullets to the head. And we'll never hear of him ever again. So, Roger, I understand where you're coming from. But and to me, I think he's a traitor. So we'll leave it at that. Wow, that was ending the show on a positive note, wasn't it? And I'm just, I'm not listening to that dude no more. I'm gone. But you guys know I have lots of opinions on stuff, and I'm huge on privacy and all that. So how can I be one way and be the other? Well, it's just, again, it's going back to the principle of things. If I've given added value today during the show, I definitely appreciate you considering coming and supporting us with an insider. Become one of the GNC 1000 at geeknewscentral.com/insider. Your $2, $5, $10, $12, $15, $25 contribution per month is greatly appreciated. I want to thank all of you for being part of the audience here and hanging out with me today. And definitely feel free to drop me an email here, geeknews@gmail.com. Follow me on Twitter at geeknews. Come on, wherever you may be on Facebook or if you're on Google+. And what here's what I want all of you to do. Here's a little mission for you. There's someone that you work with or know that has an Android device. I want you to tell them about podcasting. I want you to suggest an app, maybe Beyond Pod. Maybe that if you're familiar with some Android apps, Beyond Pod's a good one. Get them to load the app. Get them to subscribe to Geek News Central and have them be here with you in this family. Help our Android brethren get connected to podcasts. They're missing in large numbers, folks. Because 80% of you that listen to this show are on, or at least, 80% of the folks that are listening worldwide to podcasts are on some form of iOS device. 7% others, that's Windows Phone, BlackBerry, and all the other stuff, and 13% Android, okay? We need to get the Android listeners into this show and others. So do your part as a listener to tell your friends that are on Android to grab a podcasting app, get subscribed to this show and others. Recommend 2 or 3 from a starter standpoint. Help them through the process. If you don't know how to do it, grab their phone and help them get hooked up. We need the Android listeners to be here with us and providing their perspective. Hey, everyone, and those of you that are Android users, thanks. Thanks for plugging in and being part of the Ohana. Hey, everyone, we're gonna roll. Again, my name is Todd Cochran, geeknews@gmail.com. You can follow me at Geek News on Twitter. Until Thursday, everyone take care. We'll see you next time. Aloha. Wow, I went really long today. Whew, that was a monster show. JB, thanks for hanging, man. Appreciate it. Those of you on YouTube, see you later.